Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Ivy and I'm a YouTuber and content creator based in Asaba, Delta State, Nigeria. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 ways that you can keep your vacuum flask hotter over longer periods. Now, if this is a content you would like to see, then please keep on watching. And while watching, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on that subscribe button underneath this video. Like this video, drop a comment in the comment section, ask me questions, and welcome back guys. So I just found out of recent that our first video on our how to prep your water flask before the very first use has been doing pretty well. So I've been getting a couple of questions, so I just thought to do an updated video on that, on 3 ways that you can keep your vacuum flask hotter over longer periods. Now, if you've not seen that first video, I'm going to link it in the description box underneath this video. You can go and watch it after watching this. But in summary, just because you are here, what I said in that video, the secret I found out and discovered was that before you use your vacuum flask for the very first time, you are to prep it. And how do you prep it? You are to use a lukewarm hot water. What do I mean by lukewarm hot water? Lukewarm hot water is that water with the temperature that is neither hot nor warm, that you can conveniently and comfortably dip your hands, 4 fingers into without bringing it out like in haste, shouting that it's hot. You can conveniently dip your 4 fingers into for a couple of minutes without getting burnt, without it hurting your skin. You have to pour that hot water into this flask overnight for about, let's say, from like 10 p.m. to like 6 a.m. and then you've prepped it for your very first use. Okay, so now we are all on the same page, and I'm assuming that you are here because you've prepped your flask and you want to know how to proceed. Or maybe you have like older flask and you are thinking like, okay, I didn't prep mine right the first time. What do I do? How do I like care for the flask? How do I ensure that it retains its hotness for a longer period? Is it too late? No guys, it's not too late. The very first thing I want you to do is to stop what you're currently doing. I have noticed that a lot of people do this. Like, you pour boiling hot water directly from the kettle into the flask. No guys, it is wrong. Don't do that. What you have to do, you have to bring your water to boil in a kettle, and then when the water is boiling, turn off your gas and wait for 10 minutes. Now, time yourself guys so that you don't make a mistake. Wait for 10 minutes before you pour that water into the flask. And no, the water is not going to be warm. The water is still going to remain very hot, and yes, the water can still burn you if it pours on your body, and yes, you can still use the water for anything you will use boiling hot water to do. So stop pouring hot water directly into your flask guys. No, you are ruining that flask. It is not good, and that is one way that you can keep your vacuum flask hotter over longer periods of time. Okay, now the second way to keep your flask hotter over longer periods of time is to avoid dropping your flask. Now, this vacuum flask right here is the metal one. We also have those other plastic ones that have glass interiors in it, and I have discovered that most times people who own such, like the other type of vacuum flask, the one with the glass bottle in it, they're always very careful with it, because you know that as soon as that bottle drops, that flask drops, like the bottle shatters, you even hear it shattering, and that flask is gone for good. But for some reason, because this is metal now, it's iron, I can drop it anyhow I like and it doesn't matter. No guys, it matters. You know why? Because when you've dropped your flask a couple of times, it starts, I mean, it's metal, but it's not it's not what's the right word now? It's not a special metal that doesn't damage. It's not that kind of metal, guys. So this one, you can see here I've bumped mine once. You can see this dent right here. It fell off. My daughter was holding and it fell from her, but I try to avoid dropping this as much as possible. I treat this as though it's a glass bottle, and you should too, guys, because with time, when you start having a couple of dents around it, you might not know, but the flask can start leaking. It might not be leaking like pouring out water from the bottom or the sides or anything, but you can do a test. You know, if you put your flask on like a dry flat surface for a couple of minutes, and then you lift it back up, you swipe your hands underneath the flask, you'll see some moisture in it. That shows that that flask is leaking from somewhere. The point of leakage might not be so wide and big that it's dripping water, but it's just there. It might just be a little tiny break. It might just be that dent. That just ruins the ability of the flask to retain its hotness over longer periods. And you know, you invested so much money. This flask like this these days, a flask like this now is costing almost 20,000 naira. You can't be buying that every so often. So guys, treat this flask as though it is a glass bottle. Avoid dropping it often. Like, try to avoid it. Avoid dropping it anyhow you like, so that there are no dents around it. And then whenever you notice there are like dents and stuff, do the experiment I told you. Try it out and see if the flask is leaking. Then you know it's damaged and you can get a new one. Okay, so that's the second way you can keep your flask hotter over longer periods of time. The third way to keep your vacuum flask hotter over longer periods of time is to wash your flask regularly. Like regularly, I don't mean like every week or like every day and stuff, but every so often. Okay, why do you have to wash it? Number one, it can gather debris with time. You know, it's hygienic to do that. I'm going to do another video showing you how to wash your flask, but let me just summarize how you do that in this video, then I'll do a more detailed video later. You know this brush right here that they use to wash children's feeding bottles, the longer one of it, you can get it, use it to wash your flask, okay, so that you can get in and really wash it very well. And then again, while washing, you tend to notice a couple of things. Okay, you can see that this flask, for example, came with this rubber cover, and it has little like plasticky things around that all have jobs that they are doing. Okay, so most times when you wash your flask, you tend to notice if there are any damages on any of these rubbers. Some come with those like circular rubber rings like this one right here, and you know, they all have something they do in to retain the hotness of the flask. They all act like stoppers and stuff. So when you wash your flask regularly, apart from the fact that it helps to keep your flask clean and it's very hygienic, you can also notice when something is amiss, something is off in any of like the inner covers. You know, you can notice when like a rubber ring, you can see this one right here. Now this one has come down, you can see, and it's not supposed to be here. It's supposed to be on this very first one right here. You see, it's supposed to be here and it has come down. That way now the work is supposed to do is not doing it. So all these little things, and sometimes you might not even know this rubber, right, this rubber ring, like the one I was just mentioning just now, you can see it there. It might just fall off and you will not know. And all this, they all help to keep the vacuum flask hot. Like, it all help to ensure that the heat remains within it. So these are all steps that you should take. 3 steps that you should take to help your vacuum flask to remain hotter over longer period. I hope this video helps someone out. I hope you begin to implement some of these steps, some of these tips, so that your flask can last longer and remain hotter over a longer period of time. I mean hours, days even. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for staying tuned till the end, and until I come your way again next week, remain blessed. Bye guys.